The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
All right, quick follow-up on the Whole Foods selling peeled oranges in plastic containers. I said that this should not be a product because of the amount of plastic waste it creates, just to appeal to people who have trouble peeling oranges. Now, someone wrote in and said, rheumatoid arthritis is one illness that can make it hard for a person
We can
to peel.
say who it is. I mean, it's a member named Jason, right?
It was Jason.
We'll give attribution, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, only Jason knows who I'm talking about when I say Jason.
Fair enough.
Okay. Make it hard for a person to peel. Another is peripheral neuropathy, a form of nerve damage associated with diabetes type 1 and 2. And that's not mentioning Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, blindness, although I think blind people can peel oranges, and that this is adding up to a much larger number than people who just have rheumatoid arthritis. And Jason saying your privilege is showing you're better than that, guys. Now, well, then why stop at oranges? Then we should have peeled versions of everything.
Don't we?
I mean, no, not everything. Of course not.
I guess not bananas because they go bad.
Yeah. I mean, where do you stop is my question.
I know what you're saying, yeah. And I got an email from someone else saying, David, the peeled oranges, it's not an issue of waste or being able to peel it for me. I'm allergic to orange oil, but not to anything else in the orange. And it's very hard to peel an orange without getting orange oil on your skin. I don't know. I don't think it's an issue of privilege. It's an issue of, do we draw the line anywhere? At what point do we say that the waste exceeds the value of the labor that we're adding to it? Now, someone else said to me, David, for all you know, Whole Foods is way better at utilizing the orange peels for something, and they might also be using some type of plastic that is already recycled. I don't know. I mean, it was a very, very specific scenario. I don't really know. It's not about putting anyone down or acting privileged because we're able to peel oranges. It's really sort of a pragmatic discussion of how far should we take this, and particularly when these are the prices being charged.
Exactly. Yes. And believe me, I can sympathize with people that are unable to peel an orange because of their condition. But where does it end? You have to draw the line somewhere. Otherwise, you have an entire produce section mirrored with everything that is also pre-cut, pre-peeled, and packaged, and it's just, imagine the amount of plastic we'd be creating just to do that.
Yeah.
Moving on. Here's a great story. I believe Nephi sent this one in about Baytown, Texas, and "In God We Trust" decals are being placed on city fire trucks and ambulances. Now, this is the fire department came with the union and proposed the idea, I suppose. This is what's happening there. I mean, this sounds like the type of story you might hear in Texas, and of course, the ACLU is all over this, saying that this is a violation of the separation of church and state. And I'm thinking that this is a really bad idea.
Of course.
I don't want to see this on public vehicles. I mean, aren't we past this, right? I mean, this is forcing religion this is shoving religion in people's faces. I mean, if everyone on the fire department is a Christian, that's fine. If everybody in the union is a Christian, that's fine. If everyone being rescued is a Christian, that's fine. But this is just unnecessary because they're all allowed to be Christians.
It's an establishment of religion over non-religion, right? Because you could argue, in God we trust. It doesn't say which God, although we know which religion that's associated with.
So you could argue that this applies to all monotheistic religions. Okay, what about the ones that aren't?
No question about it. That's also true. We had a similar story. I believe it was from some township in Illinois, 4 to 6 months ago, where they were looking at doing the same thing, and there was a whole controversy. This is abundantly clear that it's an establishment of religion by a government over non-religion. It shouldn't be allowed. It's also just a waste of time and money. This is not something that when we talk about fire departments and police departments and whatever that are short on cash, they don't have the resources that they need. Now you're going to go, and I know it's a small cost, but figuratively, why are we spending any money on this and put "In God We Trust" on your vehicles? It's a disaster. It's a nightmare. It's a sort of representation of one element of what is just terrible and wrong in this country.
I think, yeah. And, then there's the big one. It's on all our money, right? That's, I guess that's a bit harder to get rid of than just some decals on trucks.
Right.
But I'm
not
guessing,
that hard. I mean, think about, it wasn't that long ago when they rolled out the new 20s. And at that time, I remember the new 20s were like the big thing where, wow, when you see it, it's notable. Now it's notable when you see an old 20. I mean, very quickly you can get old money out of circulation.
Yeah, I guess that's true. All right. Well, there it is. We'll see what happens. Maybe there will be some type of legal battle between ACLU and this and Baytown.
Yeah.
Okay, oil. Let's talk about oil. No, not the stuff that comes from our good friend and ally Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about the stuff that comes from olives. Liquid gold, as it's called by some. The other oil, referred to as black gold. This stuff has just spiked, I guess, 20% in price in 2015 after drought, disease devastated a big part of Europe's olive crop. And experts are forecasting another increase. As if it wasn't already expensive enough, at least for the decent stuff.
Yeah, really.
This is what's happening now.
Now I haven't done, well, let me wait. I have so many things to say about this, but I'll hold off and let you finish the
I'll just
fact.
read off a few more details.
Yeah.
Spain produces about 40% of the world's olive oil.
Right.
They just had a very hot summer. Very bad for them. And the International Olive Council expects Spain to produce 1.2 million tons of olive oil this year, better than last year's, but below the 1.8 million tons that they typically produce. And so Italy has been hit by disease, and there are other examples. This is when you think about how ubiquitous olive oil is, you would assume that this will drive up the prices of many things all over the place, food and restaurants.
Yeah. Well, the other thing it might impact is restaurants have increasingly been getting away from cooking with olive oil.
Yeah.
For years already, right?
That's
So
true.
it's cooking with these blended vegetable oils that are like part soybean and part other stuff, or canola or whatever. And this is going to push them to do that more, I can only assume.
You're probably right. So that's unfortunate. And I guess if you use a lot of olive oil, it might not be a bad idea to stock up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it lasts a while. I am trying to figure out, I love olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to figure out how much of olive oil is marketing and how much of it is real differences between good and bad oils, because I have not really done any double-blind taste tests or whatever, just blind taste tests and all that stuff.
Yep.
I know that now a lot of olive oil has been remarketed. So for a while, it was all about, this is Italian, 100% Italian olive oil. But now you're seeing more and more that say, this oil was pressed and bottled in Italy, but it's from olives from Spain, Greece, and Italy, right? Or this is Greek olive oil, or this is now, as you mentioned, Spanish olive oil, etc. So I don't know if that's been something that's happened because of more disclosure, or if it's because of the idea of actually the Spanish and Greek olive oil becoming like the cool thing or whatever.
Yeah.
There was this awesome olive oil place near me where I lived in Brooklyn, and they had like blood orange olive oil. It had like a hint of blood orange. They had garlic. They had
Infused olive.
Spicy ones and all these different things. It's all fantastic. Now, the other thing I want to mention here is when you look at the Mediterranean diet, one of the main fat sources is olive oil, and that is so different than some of the primary fat sources for many diets here in the United States. So there's also like a health component, and all of these things together, olive oil becoming more trendy, and now the shortage, it's ripe for huge price gouging.
Yeah. I know I can say with certitude that there has been a huge shift in marketing in the world of olive oil.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to, I think maybe I told this to you, maybe I told it on the bonus show. When I first arrived in Boston, I went to a small supermarket that was close to us. I said, I need olive oil. Here's this big end cap full of this olive oil, somewhat reasonably priced considering the size of the container. Very nice labeling, very nice packaging. I just wanted to get my stuff and get out of there. I had a million things to do. I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to grab this. It was the California olive oil. And you've probably seen these bottles, very ornate bottles, California, all sorts of shit all over it. Okay. They make it look very good. This is one of the worst olive oils I've ever had.
Really? It was noticeably bad.
It's disgusting. And they've really just done a great job marketing, because I think people are buying this stuff. When I went to Greece, when I was on Crete, Crete is an island that produces much of what is consumed on Crete, right? I didn't have any bad olive oil. All the olive oil was good. Every restaurant you went to, it's cheaper for them to be using olive oil produced there, and it was all really quite good. And then, I coming back and tasting this olive oil that I had in my cabinet, it was awful. But then I found some really good olive oil at Whole Foods that was, Anyway, you can find good olive oil, but I guess your best bet is probably just to read reviews of olive oil online and find out what because you are not going to be able to determine anything by what is on the bottle.
The other thing I wanted to mention is you mentioned that now you're showering and shampooing. I mean, you're using exclusively some kind of olive oil soap, right?
Well, it's a very common soap. It's Kiss My Face. And it's just, I use the unscented. It's just, it's made with olive oil.
I decided like 10 days ago that I'm done with these sort of like Lever 2000 and whatever, these
very wise,
these industrial soaps. Cause who knows? I don't know. I just felt like I should try something else.
Yeah.
And so at first I went on Amazon and I said, all right, let me look at these different olive oil ones. And it's very sort of hard to figure out what's good and what's not. I mean, you know how many products there are, that this is the paradox of choice. Things become very complex. And I said, all right, I'm going to start looking. What about some of these soaps? Like, now the exfoliation beads that are plastic, those are banned.
Oh, yeah.
But instead, you can get soap that basically has like pieces of oatmeal in it, and it has basically the same effect. I said, I'm going to check that out. There were like 10 options. They're all like $12 for a 4.5 ounce bar, which seems like highway robbery to me. I mean, it seems like that would last a week. All of a sudden, I'm spending $50 a month on soap. So I looked around more, and eventually I was just getting sort of like choice fatigue. So I found one that said, this is like an extra big bar, and it's menthol with pieces of something that's somewhat exfoliating. I don't know if it was oatmeal or whatever, some kind of grain, right? Like steel cut oats or something. I don't know. I was like, seems cool. I bought it. It gets in. I look at the packaging. I basically bought Hatriot soap.
What?
I basically bought, it says all over it, made in the USA, and then immediately below, like as a selling point, it says not made in France. Like as a goof, making fun of French stuff, whatever, or some sort of like the Freedom Fries movement.
Yep.
And then it says like a portion of sales go to support U.S. veterans, which I'm fine with. I'm all about supporting U.S. veterans. That's absolutely great. Except oftentimes when a company is using that for marketing, it's like it's usually a right-wing company, right? I mean, that's just the reality here in the United States. And then it said something else. Like the whole thing about the bar being big, it's all about it being manly. It's a manly bar of soap. I basically bought the closest thing that there is to Hatriot soap, and it's really not bad, actually. But I don't think I'd buy it again. I really would like to get one of these, like, charcoal bars, or, there's these different cool bars. They're just so expensive.
You don't need that crap. Just buy what I buy. You can get it at Whole Foods. You can get it at many places. It's a very common popular soap. None of that fancy crap in it. It's very simple, unscented, and Dave, my skin has never been healthier.
All right, well, can't argue with the results,
All right, so I need people to confirm what I'm telling Dave is true. So tell me if you have used the Kiss My Face soap. It's everywhere. I'm sure people have. I mean, it's you can get it a lot of places. And
my prediction is this soap is way more mainstream and corporate than you think it is.
But if you read the ingredients, it's still good soap.
All right.
I mean, so regardless of how mainstream it is, they're still making a good product.
It's become very mainstream to be anti-mainstream, I've noticed.
The Kraft macaroni and cheese just got rid of artificial colors, and things are moving in that direction. Now, just because something is very popular does not mean that it's a bad product.
No.
And just
by the way, I mean, now the Kraft story. That they've replaced some of those natural. I mean, we can't get into it, but we've talked about how the natural flavors are often they start with something that's naturally occurring, and it's refined beyond belief, and it's really
true.
no better for you than the so-called artificial. Anyway, that's
True. Now, but as far as the coloring goes, they replace the artificial colors with actual spices,
Right.
like turmeric and whatever. And so that's
love
good.
turmeric and paprika.
That is what it is. Turmeric and paprika. Yes. So congratulations to them. It's a great move.
Do you like smoked paprika?
I do. Yeah, of course.
But you're against eating too much smoked food, right?
Well, there's some study, there's some research that suggests it's not the best for you.
Right.
Okay. That being said, I love my beer smoked. I love my meat smoked. The fish, not so much. Vegetables, potatoes. Oh man, smoked potatoes.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Wow.
It's really good. Yeah. So, yeah. Basically, the only thing I don't like to be smoky is my women. Yeah.
Yeah, we know Lewis and women who smoke do not go together well. They go together like oil and water.
Yes. It's sad.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.